Pratim Dadhada Chanchalam Sukyatyata Vishaka Saka Bhaje Vijaniyam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Bhaje Vijaniyam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Vijay Vijaniyam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Bhaje Vijaniyam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Jaya Keshava Dev Jaya Keshava Dev Keshava Dev Jaya Keshava Dev His, with fresh kadamba buds adorning his ears, strings of fully blossomed malati flowers forming a crown upon his head, and a brahmana thread of slightly opened and charming jasmine flowers strung around his neck. He returns from the forest to the village of Raj. I worship that Sri Keshava. Coming back from the forest to the village of Raj, he happily calls his straying Srabi cows Pishangi, Manikastani, Pranatashringi, Pingeshana, Mridanga Dumala, Subali, Hamshi, Vamshi Priya. I worship that Sri Keshava. Coming back from the forest in the pathways of Braj, he laughs and jokes with his affectionate friends, who are all expert in the pleasantries of jesting, dancing, and singing, and who are splendidly dressed and decorated. I worship that Sri Keshava. His cheeks brilliant with beads of perspiration, his face decorated with pictures drawn in mineral dyes from the hills, and his splendid curling locks of hair deriding the attractiveness of a swarm of black bees restless for honey. He returns from the forest to the village of Braj. I worship that Sri Keshava. As he returns from the forest to the village of Braj, with the sweet sound of his flute he calls the Surabi cows, who are eager to see their young calves break the ground with their heavy, dancing hooves. I worship that Sri Keshava. Coming back from the forest to the village of Braj, he beautifies the paths with his footprints. His garlands of forest flowers is colored by the dust kicked up by the cows running ahead of him, and his garments and a peacock feather move with the waves of wind. I worship that Sri Keshava. With the playful, sweet music of his flute elating all the housebound gopis, whose bodily hairs rise up with delight, and also make his mother Yasoda joyous at heart, he comes back from the forest to the village of Braj. I worship that Sri Keshava. As he returns from the forest to the village of Braj, the gopis mount the roofs of their palaces, and with garlands of dancing glances and gentle smiles greet him, whose vision drifts over their breasts like a bumblebee hovering among a cluster of flowers. I worship that Sri Keshava. May Vishaka's friend, Krishna, make happy for all time those who attentively read these 8 poetic verses, which are a great festival bliss for all the gopis, by making the reader's intelligence shine with unwavering love for his lotus feet.
And we welcome Govinda Dasi, the OG Govinda Dasi. For the first couple of
Don't bow
years.
down to me, I'm an ordinary soul. Ordinary person. Not liberated, nothing fancy about me. Don't bow down.
Radha Bhajan?
So you got your eyes fixed?
Not yet.
Your eyes are fixed?
Okay, so after the kirtan to Sri Radha, then Gaura Krishna Prabhu will be giving class, surprise class.
Page 158 or 56.
Give her a nice
In the, I don't know what it is in the Spanish book. It's Jaya Radha Madhava. It might, it's
Shower, water, food, health.
Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya, page 158, Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Kunja Jaya Gopi Janavallabha. Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Girivaradari. Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha. Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Girivaradari. Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha. Jaya Dari. Jaya Girivaradari. Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Jaya Guru Dev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Aren't you guys read about Maharaj?
I thought you are.
I don't have it actually.
Oh, it's not in the My Beloved Masters.
Wow, where's that book?
We have My Beloved Masters here.
We do.
Okay.
We
We're
should,
looking for
Octula.
Bhakti Alok Paramahamsa.
we should do your Pranam thing.
Well, you're going to be doing it.
Okay, but we should still pass out because that's like what they're
It's the
used to.
same thing we do.
I don't know. We'll just do what you do.
All right, we'll do what I do.
Let's do everything that you do. 'Cause
Can you pass out the paper thing?
have you ever? I don't know anything about this person.
None of us do. Agyanam Timirandasya
Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurumilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Twadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namah Yang Pravajantam Manupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahaka Taya Taravo Banedus Tang Sarvabhut Vidayam Muni Manatosmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptasya Kamadi Tarangamadye Kripa Mai Tvang Sharanam Prapadyam Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Tavaivasmi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tambina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tam Nayamam Charanantike Kripayati Yadi Radha Badita Sheshabadha Kimaparabhishishtam Pushti Maryada Yorme Yadi Vadati Chakinshit Smera Soditasir
Dvijavaramani Pamtya Mukti Shaktya Tadakim Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekhar Smeraha Samurali Manohar Radhika Rasikamam Kripanite Swapriya Charana Kinkari Prananatha Vrishabhanu Nandini Srimakabjara Salola Satapada Radhika Tvaratale Kritastitam Tvam Bhajamyasi Kendra Shekhar Samvidaya Dashane Trinam Vibho Praradaye Brajamahendra Nandana Astu Mohantabati Balava Janmani Smadhiswari Priya. If Sri Radha is merciful to me, then unlimited obstacles to my devotion will be removed. There will be nothing superior for me to attain, because I will have received the excellence offered by the paths of both Vaidhi and Rag. And if she speaks something while smiling gently, thereby revealing the brilliance of the rows of her beautiful pearl-like teeth, what significance will the oyster of liberation have? O Shamasundar, O you whose head is adorned with peacock feathers, whose face is graced with a laughing smile, whose Murali flute enchants the mind, and who is the most expert in relishing ras with Srimati Radhika. O ocean of mercy, please make me a kinkari, maid servant, at the feet of your beloved. You are the Lord of the life of the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, and you are like a bee, always eager to taste the nectar of her lotus-like face. O Rasikendra Shekhar, foremost of those who are Rasik, who are situated at the feet of Srimati Radhika, I worship you. O son of the king of Braj, O all-pervading one, O Mohan, who enchants the minds of all, taking a piece of straw in my teeth, I pray that your supremely beloved Sri Radha be my dear worshipful goddess, birth after birth. Now you can say your personal one in English.
Om Jnana Timrandasya Gananjan. Okay. Gurve Gaura Chandraya Radhika Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayani Nityanamine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama. First of all, I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Nityalibra Vishnu Om Vishnupad, Asto Tata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto the lotus feet of Srimati Shamarani Didi, who is leading us today in this Hari Katha, and unto all the Vaishnavas assembled here today, and all the Vaishnavis here today, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Ho. Today is a I don't know if it's an appearance-disappearance day, but it is a day of remembrance of an exalted Vaishnav whose name is Sri Srimad Bhakti-alok Paramahamsa Maharaj. And if you're like me, I don't know anything about Maharaj, so now we're going to dive into his glories. But I was just looking at the name Bhakti-alok. Do you know what that name means, Didi? Me neither. Is it Alok or Bhakti-alok? Anyone online, if you know it, just leave a comment in the comment section below. I like to know things, like if we're reading something, I like to know. Maybe it comes up. But let's see who this personality is and what great things they did for the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the book we're reading is called My Beloved Masters, which is a wonderful book that describes the glories of so many disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, prior to accepting sannyas, Sri Srimad Bhakti-alok Paramahamsa Maharaj was known as Sri Mahananda Brahmachari. While Srila Prabhupada, that is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was still present in this world, Sri Mahananda Brahmachari managed the Bhagavat press in Krishna Nagar. Has anyone been to Mayapur? You know there's a place nearby called Krishna Nagar. It's like a city. It's right nearby. Which is Srila Prabhupada's editions of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, the title manager does not befit devotees, because a devotee understands his position is always a what? A servant. And this is a big thing. Sometimes when a devotee is in the position of a manager, and some ego comes, and it's like, oh, I know what's best, and you should do what I say. I have a suggestion, and if you don't do it, I get upset. So really, it was just a demand. So it's always better to think of ourselves as dasa dasa anudas, the servant of the servant. But as Sri Mahananda Brahmachari's duties were exactly like those of a manager, we are referring to him as such. He arranged everything for the in-house printing of Srimad Bhagavatam and other publications of Srila Prabhupada. I didn't know that Srila Prabhupada produced the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, we're just learning new things today. Although I was at the Chaitanya Mat and I did see they had a Bhagavatam for sale. Maybe that was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's Bhagavatam. For the service of these publications, Sri Mahananda Brahmachari employed a stenographer and a typist. What is a stenographer?
That keeps track of words being said in the court.
Oh, okay.
But it's not exactly just word for word, it's a special
It's like shorthand typing.
shorthand.
I see, a stenographer, okay. Once the king of Nadia was in need of a printing publication, but had no one in his service capable of typing or taking dictation. In response to the king's need, Sri Mahananda Brahmachari offered the services of Bhagavat Press's stenographer and typist, and even offered to print the publication, as Bhagavat Press often took outside clients. They presented the king with a flawless publication. Not even a single mistake was made. Believe that, Didi? Impressed by the high quality of his publication and the care with which the devotees of Bhagavat Press produced it, the king decided that he would no longer send his future publications to Calcutta for printing, but he would instead use the Bhagavat Press exclusively. Yeah, we have a press called Gaura Vedanta Publications, right? That's our particular press. And then the ISKCON has the BBT, the Bhaktivinoda Book Trust. Well, back then, the press that was created by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was known as the Bhagavat Press. In this way, the press eventually gained a favorable reputation, due in part to the efforts of Sri Mahananda Brahmachari. Everyone in the area knew they could put their full trust in the abilities of the devotees of Bhagavat Press, and if by chance some mistake were made, the press would immediately rectify it. Another service Sri Mahananda Brahmachari used to perform was to acquire properties for the Mat. Because his services generally required him to collect various items for the Gaudiya Mat, he was given the title Kainaram, which means a person who purchases everything. In this case, the title applies to one who purchases everything, not for one's own sense enjoyment, but for the service of Bhakta Bhagavat, Bhagavan's devotee. So who's our Kainaram in this temple? Vasanti. She's right. And who's Sharda? I don't know who that is. Okay, so next time we have a devotee who's always buying everything for the maintenance of Thakurji in the temple, we can call them all Kainaram. Dasi or Da. Kainaram. The villagers of Champakat and Navadvip possessed a deep sense of reverence for Srila Prabhupada, and some of them even became his initiated disciples. And what are the deities in Champahati? Yeah. Out of their regard for him, they donated him the property that encompassed the previous residence of Jayadev Goswami. This is the present site of Sri Gaura Gadadhar Gaudiya Mat. There was one esteemed local in that village who had 2 recently widowed daughters. Unfortunately, the daughters-in-laws were unwilling to hand over their respective inheritances, and so the 2 women were unable to maintain their lives. I'm going to read that again. I didn't quite understand that. Okay. So in the village Champahati, next to the Gorgadadhar temple, the land was purchased to become the Gaudiya Mat there. But there was one esteemed villager who had 2 recently widowed daughters. That means his daughters lost their husbands. Unfortunately, the daughters' in-laws were unwilling to hand over their respective inheritance, and so the 2 women were unable to maintain their lives. Still don't quite get that sentence.
Just like parents of the husband, the widowed husband, or the husband that died, they're supposed to give over an inheritance to the wives as like a reprieve or something, and then they didn't, and so they no longer had the funds or anything to maintain their own lives, their own statuses.
Okay, let's find out what happened to them then. When Srila Prabhupada learned about the predicament these women faced, he simply said, "How will they maintain themselves?" Taking his Gurudev's seemingly light inquiry as an order, Mahananda Brahmachari visited the local courts in Ranagat and filed a court case against the ladies' in-laws and eventually managed to secure their respective inheritances for them. Oh, I get it. I get it now. Yeah. I got it. The girls' in-laws did not give them their inheritance. And so Mahananda brought this up to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he said, no, fine, they need to be maintained somehow. And so he found a way by going to court to get those ladies their inheritances. See, the Vaishnavas, we do great seva, not just for the soul, but sometimes for the benefit of the body and the life itself. But always with the idea that we're serving the soul. We're not just out there to serve food for the belly. We're out there to give prasadam for Krishna. So we're not trying to acquire property for these ladies. We're trying to make them lifelong devotees. Because if you do something good, that wins over the heart, and then they'll forever be servants of Gaura and Champahati. Srila Prabhupada had a disciple named Sri Nishikanta Sanyal, a professor at Ravensha College in Cuttack. Although Sri Nishikanta Sanyal had an entire family to maintain, he would offer all his salary to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Even after Srila Prabhupada had told him, if you keep donating your salary to me, then how will your family survive? It would be better if you were to keep something for their maintenance. Now we all know that one story with the sannyasi who would collect, and then he would keep a little bit for himself, just because he spent so much money, and he would give a certain amount back to Param Gurudev, but then Param Gurudev would say, no, give me everything. He said, but I need this because I spent money on trains and food, but better you give me all the money because I can digest this collected, and I'll give you what you require. Well, anyways, here's Srila Prabhupada is saying,
So then what happened
with what?
with the devotee who Bharam Gurudev said, give me all the money?
He then gave him all the money.
Yeah, he was upset though.
He was upset, and he didn't understand, why do I need to give you the money if you're just going to give it back to me?
No, he didn't know that.
Well, first he didn't want to give it to him because he was thinking, this is unfair.
Because I'm going to use the money in your service.
Yeah.
Collected.
Yeah, like you don't trust that I'm going to keep the money and use it in your seva. He was confused why he had to give all the money back. But then Paramgriv explained, because you don't have the ability to digest the karma that comes with a donation. When you're preaching and material people give you money, if you were to take that money and think, well, I'm just going to buy myself a new dhoti for the Lord's service and stuff, really we're accepting a little bit of that karma that they're giving. We're taking something from them, and they're actually taking from us our own sukriti. And so Param Gurudev was very strict about it, and he said, I can digest this. So he accepted the money, but then he gave back what was required, purified. Just like we offer to Krishna this prasad, and Krishna accepts it and gives it back to us so that we take it. We can be wise vegetarian. It was no longer like that. It is now Krishna's mercy. So Guru has the ability to take any contamination and purify it. So here we have Srila Prabhupada saying, I see you're giving me all your wealth, but I want that you keep some of it. But it was good that he at least offered all the wealth. Yes?
Does anything happen to Guru as they're taking all this karma?
There are ways to see it that Guru is accepting the karma and purifying it, and that sometimes Guru becomes sick, and a disciple might think, oh, my Guru Dev is sick because he's accepting my karma. But ultimately, a Guru is Krishna's devotee and very pure, like a fire. It can instantly burn away these things. So there's,
If the guru is pure,
yeah,
then whatever amount of garbage you throw of your karma, you throw his way. He's a big fire, and he can burn everything to ashes. But if the guru is not pure, then that little fire can be put out by all the garbage, like myself.
I was trying to avoid that part because I knew she would say something humble like that. But yes, but still, don't think my guru is. A devotee should always think my guru is supreme and almighty. It is Krishna's representative. But don't think that that's an excuse that I can commit some sinful activity because my guru is going to destroy it. We should also think that I don't want to put my guru in this situation. I don't want to give them heaps of my karma because my guru is so powerful. We should think that my guru is so merciful to me, and it is my duty to try to not give them that extra burden. But I know that my guru can destroy this. Okay, so
Just to make his disciples more serious. In the mid-70s, just to make his disciples more serious. I'm not going to keep it. He said, the reason I'm getting sick is because of your immoral activities. Yeah, it wasn't true, but
it wasn't true, but
he was doing that to scare us.
right, because this, so it is a good mentality. Oh, this might start ringing. Oh, okay, you keep yours. Okay. Yeah, so this is a good mentality to think that I'm affecting my guru's well-being and health. But ultimately, your Guru Dev or Guru Devi, it's very powerful.
Can I ask something?
No,
Um,
just kidding.
okay, I don't understand that. I thought that even bad things like lust and greed and all these things, we should give everything, our whole heart.
Mm.
In this, I cannot understand this point now. How can we keep something bad for us and then we cannot give?
I'm giving it to you, Gurudev, to burn it.
Right. It's when you're willingly surrendering, it's a different sentiment. When you're like, oh, Gurudev, please look inside my heart. There's so many dirty things. Guru is here to clean the heart. It is what Guru is like their deputized duty. They're going to come clean the heart. So if you're like, I have these dirty things in my heart, it makes it easier to clean. Kind of like if you soak a dish in hot water, and then it's very easily cleans right off. But if you don't soak it first, and you're just so hard to scrub. So if you are willingly saying, oh, Gurudev, look inside my heart, see how dirty it is, then very easy Gurudev will clean it, because it's wide open to be cleaned. But if you're hiding it from Gurudev, and you're committing sinful activity, and your Guru's trying to clean it, you're making their work harder, and they're exhausting your Guru. It's better just to be open and let the Guru come in and do the cleaning. Be very honest with yourself and with Guru. I'm trying to think of a pastime, but anyways.
But real quick, wouldn't that just bring undue stress and weight on us to alleviate? But since we don't have the spiritual strength to do that, that's why Guru is there in order to help alleviate that stress and that pressure. Would I be correct in that assessment?
Possibly.
Okay.
No. It's like, there's a verse in the Bhagavatam where Narada Muni, when he's first praying or Vyasadeva is praying to Narada Muni, and because he's also feeling like, I'm not happy. I separated the Vedas, I wrote the Upanishads, the Puranas, but I'm not happy. And then Narada comes, and then the verse, Vyasadeva says, oh Narada, you know why I'm unhappy. I am even looking inside myself and I can't figure it out. But you, as Guru, you know the deeper regions of my heart better than I do. And so Guru has this ability that we might think like, I'm fine. But Guru knows what's going on in the heart, because Krishna's deep in the heart telling Guru what's going on, and Guru's in there too. And so the Guru knows what's going on. But if we can be honest.
How are you doing? You come to the tour, to my class. How are you doing? I'm okay. You're okay. Yeah, I'm okay. You don't tell me that you have a few girlfriends. So that hiding will come in like a needle and come out like an atom bomb and destroy your bhakti.
Wow. Did you guys hear that one? And it takes a lot of strength to be honest with Guru. I myself can't even do it fully. I can in my prayers, but to stand in front of Guru and be like, oh, I am being naughty boy. But once it's done, you'll see Guru will immediately take it away. Maybe, and we don't know. Sometimes Guru will be hard like a thunderbolt, and that's the medicine required to remove it. And sometimes they'll be super sweet, and they'll pet you. Like one time I did do some simple activity, and I felt very bad, like very bad. And I went to Gurudev, and I came in like, oh, Gurudev, I made a mistake. And and I was like crying like a little, I was like, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. And he looked at me, and he just took my head and put it on his lap, and he just petted my head. And he was like, you're just a baby. And like, immediately my heart became purified, and the whole like idea I was having, it went away. He could have been like, why are you doing like this? You bogus. And that would not have been the right medicine for me at the time. I would have been like, oh. But instead he was so sweet, and he just petted my head as I cried on his lap. He just petted me. And that took away all these dirt in my heart. At least then. I'm like an elephant. I'll take a bath, get clean, and then I'll roll around the dirt again. Anyway, so it's good to open. I don't know how we got here. So anyways, out of concern for the family, Srila Prabhupada told Sri Mahananda Brahmachari, because Nishikanta Sanyal is donating his entire earnings to us, it is our responsibility to take care of his family. I want you to arrange for their complete maintenance. On this order, Sri Mahananda Brahmachari took care of his family's necessities for many years. He arranged whatever they were in need of, the education, the marriages of their children, and everything else. Yeah, that's amazing. That's the faith he had. I'll give everything to Guru, and Guru, without expecting anything in return. That melts Guru's heart. Guru will automatically, just like we have these limbs of surrender, one is knowing that Krishna will always maintain us. So he had such faith. He's like, I don't even care about my maintenance. I only want to serve Guru. Now we see how Srila Prabhupada deputized Mahananda Brahmachari to take care of his whole family. Externally, it seems as though such an arrangement would be improper. A renounced person generally has no business seeing to the needs of a Grihasta family, and should instead be engaged in the service of Sri Hari Guru and Vaishnavas. However, there are two considerations in this situation. Firstly, Srila Prabhupada had given him the direct order to maintain the family, and there is never any fault in carrying out the instructions of Sri Guru. Quite the opposite. Sri Guru's order is the disciple's duty. So, what was the first answer? Because Mahananda Brahmachari was renounced, he shouldn't have been maintaining a Grihastha family. But because his Guru ordered him to do it, he's simply following the order of his spiritual master. If your Guru says to do something, we always should check Guru's Sadhu Shastra. Secondly, Sri Mahananda Brahmachari intelligently arranged everything in such a way that he was never required to be physically present for these services. Through delegating responsibilities to various people, he never had to visit the family even once. So he found a way to do the order of his Guru, but not to become entangled into it. Because before you know it, you're like, oh, here's some money, I'll come to the wedding, and now you're mixed into family life with a family that you're not even yours. You're like, ugh. So he found a way to cleverly arrange for everything. So, brahmacharis, take a lesson. Sometimes you might have to mix with grihastas, but you don't have to ever become fully evolved. Sometime after Srila Prabhupada's departure, Sri Mahananda Brahmachari acquired some land on a short walk from Ganga Ghat in Mayapur, near Chaitrapal Shiva. That's where they still have this ghat there. I was bathing in there just a month or two ago. Eventually, refugees from Bangladesh began to occupy that land and refused to leave. Acting as his army, a number of devotees and I meaning, I guess, Srila Bharati Maharaj. Acting as his army, a number of devotees and I drove the refugees from that land. Sri Mahananda, well, put that in today's politics. So we drove those refugees out of our... Sri Mahananda Brahmachari's godbrother, Srila Bhakti Saurabha Bhakti Sar Goswami Maharaj, eventually came to Mayapur and desired to have some place to stay, and Sri Mahananda Brahmachari gave him half of his land. Meanwhile, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Swami was trying to get land in Mayapur, and nobody was helping out. But this is Leela. Another disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Swarup Parvat Goswami Maharaj, originally from Swarupganj, had a mat called Barshabhanavi Dayita Gaudiya Mat in Udal, near the Chir Chora Gopinath temple. There's a lot of names coming up, but it's neat when you're familiar with them.
Even if you're not, just by hearing them, you get
Yeah. You know, does everyone know who Chir Chora Gopinath is?
He stole the Kir.
Yeah, Kir Chora. Chora means thief, so he's the thief of Kir. In brief, there's a pastime where Madhavendra Puri, he was at this temple of Gopinath, and they cook amazing Kir. And he has no desires for his own sense enjoyment. In fact, he's taken a vow that he'll only accept milk that is offered to him without asking. So if he'll just be sitting there, and someone's like, "Oh, Prabhu, you want some milk?" That's the only time he'll accept anything. Only milk, and only if it's offered without asking. So he was looking at this Kir, and he thought, "Ah, man, if I could just taste this Kir, I'll know what the recipe is, and then I can make the Kir for my Gopal in Vrindavan." And so then he thought, "Oh, why did I have that thought?" And he shook his head and he left. Then he went to the marketplace that was closed at night, and he found a spot to do his evening bhajan, just chant and chant. So in the middle of the night, the pujari had a dream, and Gopinath said, "Oh, pujari, wake up. When you were collecting all the pots of Kir, I hid one behind my cloth, and you didn't see it. I want that you go on the altar and take this pot of Kir and bring it to the marketplace and find my devotee, Madhavendra Puri, and give it to him." And so the pujari woke up and was like, "Whoa, that was crazy." So he woke up Thakurji, even though it was in the middle of the night. He took shower, took bath, he went on the altar, and sure enough, one pot of Kir was hiding behind the cloth. And so he took the pot, and he went to the marketplace, and he's like, "Madhavendra Puri, oh Madhavendra Puri, Gopinath has stolen some Kir for you." And then he found Madhavendra Puri, he received the Kir, he tasted it, he ate it, he then even took the pot and broke it to pieces, wrapped it up in his cloth, and he even ate it was a clay pot, he even ate those pieces on his trip to Puri. Well, eventually, he left that night because he knew by the time morning comes, word will spread what Gopinath had done, and he would become super famous, and he didn't want any of that, so he just left that night to Puri. And since that time, the Gopinath deity has been known as Kirachura Gopinath. So anyway, there's a mat right near that called Barshabhanavi Daita Gaudiya Mat. Okay. After this personality's disappearance, many devotees wanted that mat to be given to my Guru Maharaj, Sri Srimad Bhakti Daita Madhav Maharaj. The disappearance of Bhakti Swarup Parvat Goswami Maharaj. He had a mat right there next to Kirachura Gopinath. And after his disappearance, the devotees wanted that mat to be given to Bhakti Daita Madhav Maharaj and come under the banner of the Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat. At that time, Srila Prabhupada's disciples deliberated and decided that since Sri Mahananda Brahmachari did not yet have any place of his own, Sri Barshabhanavi Daita Gaudiya Mat should be given to him, and that he should take sannyas from Sri Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. He accepted his godbrother's proposal and was henceforth known as Sri Bhaktialok Paramahamsa Maharaj, the Acharya of Barshabhanavi Daita Gaudiya Mat in Udal. So he inherited that Gaudiya Mat on the orders of his godbrothers and received sannyas from Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. Now Srila Bhakti Vigam Bharati Maharaj is continuing. When Guru Maharaj accepted the responsibility of acquiring Srila Prabhupada's appearance place in Puri, many of the required documents were in the Oriya language. At that time, there was an Oriya devotee, Sri Bhakti Sundar Sagar Maharaj, residing in Sri Barshabhanavi Daita Gaudiya Mat. Guru Maharaj asked Srila Paramahamsa Maharaj, "Maharaj, if it's not a problem for you, we would like to request that Sagar Maharaj can stay with us for some time and help us in acquiring Srila Prabhupada's appearance place." Paramahamsa Maharaj replied, I am not so selfish as to hinder this important service. I will certainly send Sri Sagar Maharaj with you, even at the cost of my own inconvenience. It would be a matter of great happiness and honor to perform even the most menial of services for Srila Prabhupada. This is saying that there is the birthplace of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was in Jagannath Puri, and it was in this house. Then that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had owned and lived in. But after they had left Puri, the house was still there. And Bhakti Daita Maharaj bought that house and wanted to build a temple and preserve it as the birthplace of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. But in order to acquire the land and do all the legalities, it was all in the Orisen language, which they weren't so fluent with. So they needed an Orisen devotee that they could trust to handle all this. And the best one was staying at that mat with Bhaktilok Parhamsa Maharaj, and he said, certainly you can have this qualified disciple of mine. Like imagine someone being like, oh Didi, can we have Haridas to do some important seva? And Didi's like, yes, you can have Haridas, even at my own expense, because Haridas does so much for the SVA. But if it's for Gurudev and Prabhupada seva, yes, you can have him. So this is a glorification of the merciful and compassionate nature of Bhaktilok Maharaj. We personally experienced that the speciality of Srila Paramahamsa Maharaj was that he was incredibly affectionate and simple. Whenever I would meet him, I would offer full astang danava pranam. But even though I was like his disciple, he would always embrace me. His nature was that he never considered anyone his junior, but rather respected all devotees simply because they were on the path of bhakti. Now we're going to hear about his disappearance. This is composed under the editorship of Sri Srimad Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. Pujapad Paramahamsa Maharaj appeared in 1893 on Shukla Pratipad in the month of Vaishak, a Sunday under the constellation of Asvini. So for all astrologers, there it is. In other words, he appeared during the first constellation in the first month of the year on the first solar day of the week during the first lunar day of the month. And a lot of firsts there. Let's see. The first constellation, out of all the constellations, is Ashvini. On the first month of the year, which is Vaishaka. On the first solar day of the week, which is Sunday. And also on the first lunar day of the month, which is Pratipat. Cool. Maharaj was a Vaishnava always absorbed in Nam Bhajan. What's Nam Bhajan? That's when he was born, 1893. On the first lunar day, the first solar day, the first month of the first constellation. And he was always absorbed in Nam Bhajan. What is Nam Bhajan? Okay. Chanting of the holy names with bhav. He embodied all Vaishnava qualities. All Jai Shri Shri Radhaman Bihari Juki Jai. All Vaishnavas are truly the earth's invaluable jewels, because each one is capable of delivering the entire universe. Tahabina Ratna Sunya Hoilo Medini. Medini, also known as the earth, has become bereft of jewels without him. So what are the jewels of the earth? The Vaishnavas are the jewels of the earth. That's right. They are, what's the verse in Mana Shiksha, the first one? Talayesha Sujana Busora Gane. Yeah. Busura Gane, the Busura, the gods of the earth. Prior to accepting the shelter of the most worshipful Srila Prabhupada, Maharaj's name was Mahendra. Once he received Diksha, he became known as Sri Mahananda Brahmachari. Later, Srila Prabhupada awarded him the devotional title Bhakti Alok, which means, illuminated by the effulgence of devotion. Oh, Alok can mean like effulgence of bhakti, bhakti alok. See, guys, when you ever have questions, Krishna will find it, and Gurudev will find a way to answer them. After the disappearance, and this was awarded by Srila Prabhupada before he was a sannyasi, kind of like our Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, received the title Bhaktivedanta, but while he was still a grihasta, because of his exquisite exceptional knowledge in bhakti. So he also was awarded the title Bhakti Alok, the effulgence illuminating bhakti, illuminated by the effulgence of bhakti. But after the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, he accepted sannyas from Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, and his sannyas name became Srimad Bhaktilok Paramahamsa Maharaj. So his sannyas name is Paramahamsa, just like our Srila Prabhupada's sannyas name is Swami, Srila Swami Maharaj, but he has the title Bhaktivedanta. So he became Paramahamsa Maharaj with the title Bhaktilok Paramahamsa Maharaj. And is this a picture of him? Doesn't it? I'm a little confused too. It looks like him, right? It did look like Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj.
Yeah, similar.
It has a similar. Yeah, turn those lights. Let's get that alok going. The alok, the illuminate with that effulgence. Okay, so okay. The recipient of Srila Prabhupada's profuse mercy. When Maharaj was a brahmachari, listen up, boys, the supremely worshipful Prabhupada entrusted him with looking after Bhagavat Press in Krishna Nagar, and later with managing Sri Chaitanya Mat and Sridham Mayapur. By accomplishing all these services with great expertise, he became the special recipient of Srila Prabhupada's profuse mercy. It is impossible to fill the void created by the absence of such an exemplary Vaishnav dedicated to pure bhajan. It's kind of sad, actually. When someone is doing such great service and like they're keeping it together, and then when they leave, you feel a void. It's like, wow, we didn't realize how much they were holding it together. After the disappearance of Srila Bhakti Swarup Parvat Goswami Maharaj, I see what happened here. There's two articles here. One article is by Srila Bhakti Vigan Bharati Maharaj, and this other article is by Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. So we're going to hear things again. After the disappearance of Bhakti Swarup Parvat Goswami Maharaj, who was the founder of Sri Barshabhanavi Daita Gaudiya Mat, next to Chirachor Gopinath, Mahananda Brahmachari was inducted as the next acharya of that mat, and at the proposal of Pujapad Tridani Swami Srimad Bhakti Gaurava Vaikanas Maharaj, and in the presence of Om Pujapad Tridandi Swami Srimad Bhakti Vichari Yavara Maharaj, Yayavara, sorry, all these tongue twisters here today. Bhakti Vichara Yayavara Maharaj, Pujapad Tridani Swami Srimad Bhakti Daita Madhav Maharaj, and other god brothers, all of whom expressed their approval, as well as Srila Bhakti Swarup Parvat Goswami Maharaj's disciples and patrons. The next year, 1958, he accepted sannyas and became known as Sri Dandi Swami Srimad Paramahamsa Maharaj. This is a neat point because that means Swarup Bhakti Swarup Parvat Goswami Maharaj had disciples. So you would think, if you were greedy, you'd be like, well, my Guru Maharaj left the world, I'm getting the mat next. Like, I'm going to inherit this mat. But it said it was a unanimous and very favorable. Even the disciples of that mat said, no, we will have you as the next acharya of our mat. That's a loving exchange right there. Because sometimes it doesn't go so smooth. When the acharya leaves, everyone begins fighting. In fact, we even have our own lifetime after Srila Vamana Maharaj left, the Devananda Gaudiya Mat. You would think it would go next to Srila Gurudev, but a lot of politics happened and they did not hand it over. But it was okay because Gurudev, it was the will of the Lord that Gurudev would then travel the world and create his own Sangha. The night before Srila Maharaj left his body and entered Nitya Leela, he frequently and loudly called out the names of Nitya Leela Pravishta Sri Srimad Bhakti Dayata Madhav Maharaj. Wow. The founder acharya of Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat, and Sri Madhava Maharaj's disciple and current president acharya, Srimad Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Maharaj. So the night before he left his body, or went into samadhi, he was calling out Bhakti Madhava Daita Maharaj's name and Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Maharaj's name. Their names were often heard from his lotus mouth early, also for his nurtured, profound affection for them both. You know, like that song that I kind of sang earlier, when it says like, looking for Ramachandra's Sangha Mage. that Ramachandra isn't a disciple. Wait, who sang that line? Narottam sang it, but Ramachandra is a disciple of Srinivas. But still, Vaishnavas have love for each other. It doesn't matter which group you're in. When you love Vaishnavas of any group, that's where the love goes, is where the relationship is. So it seems that even though Srila Bhakti Alok Paramahamsa Maharaj had his own temple, his own group, his own thing, his heart was still calling out for the Sangha or the association of Srila Madhav Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Maharaj. Just like Srila Gurudev always cried out or thought of Srila Prabhupada, even though he was in a different group. Anyway, those names are often heard from his mouth early on, and also for his nurtured profound affection for them both. Thus ends these excerpts from the articles published in Sri Chaitanya
Is
Bhani.
Bhakti Dwight Madhav Maharaj and Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Maharaj in relation to him?
I don't know. Srila Bhakti Paramahamsa Maharaj is the godbrother of Bhakti Daita Madhav Maharaj, and Bhakti Daita Madhav Maharaj's disciple is Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Maharaj and Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, who is authoring this book. So it's like he's calling out his godbrother's name and his nephew's name. He's calling out. Just like our Srila Prabhupada had a relationship with Bhakti Pragan Keshav Maharaj, but he also intensely loved Srila Narayana Maharaj, as you can see in his letters. He says, when we first met, I had the same spontaneous love for you as my guru had for me. So you can see that there's a relationship, even with a godbrother's disciple. So this whole idea of sectarianism, just throw it out of your mind. We here at the SVA do not have a sectarian mindset. Let the recording show. All the Vaishnavas in the world, everyone is welcome here. We are not sectarian. We will neglect you if you're an offender, though. I said we will neglect you if you're an offender, though. But that is the requirements of the Vaishnav, to have love for Krishna, friendship with the Vaishnavas according to their qualifications, to have mercy for the innocent, and if someone's very envious, and we just neglect them. But all are welcome. Okay, so that is the short, brief life history of Srila Bhakti Alok Paramahamsa Maharaj. And what does Bhakti Alok mean? The effulgence of Bhakti. Yeah, Jai Ho. So, Srila Bhakti Alok Paramahamsa Maharaj ki
And what does
Jai.
Paramahamsa mean?
What does Paramahamsa mean? Nah. Swan. Topmost swan-like devotee.
Why is he like a swan?
Yeah.
Separate the milk from the water.
Oh, what's that mean?
The bad stuff from the good stuff.
What's that mean?
He takes the essence
Yes.
and leaves matter.
From the lake?
From a glass. This is from the pond.
From the pond. There's
The
milk in the
lake.
pond.
But only the Paramahamsa can.
Get extracted. Yes.
Bahuchak, Kotichak, Hamsa, and Paramahamsa.
Paramahamsa.
This is the topmost level of sannyasi. They are completely niskinchan, meaning they don't reside in any place for like a very long time. They completely travel, giving up everything, and don't rely on anything. Actually, they're being served at all times, like their food, meal. They never think how to maintain themselves. And they're fully absorbed in Astakalya Lila, Paramahamsa level sannyasi.
Parama means great and supreme, and Hamsa means swan. I remember when I first read this Krishna book that my mom gave me, on the back cover there's like a short little synopsis. And it said, the contents of this book are relishable matter for swan-like men, Paramahamsas. And I remember thinking, I want to be a swan-like man. I didn't even know what that meant, like a swan-like man, Paramahamsa. Right? Like, what kind of, like, what was I thinking? Swan-like man. It just sounded so regal and majestic. Yeah. Swan-like men. Paramahamsas. So yeah, we should all try to become Paramahamsas, but in order to become one, we must serve one. And the feminine of Paramahamsa is Paramahamsi. So we look for those too. Okay. Jai Nitai Gauranga Hari Hari Bo. Any questions? Or should we just wrap it up? Yeah.
Okay, so one thing is that Srila Bhakti Vedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj will be here soon, and for me, he just really like seems like this regal. As we're talking about Paramahamsas and like effulgent swan-like people, he really seems like an effulgent swan-like royal person.
When's the dates?
He arrives, I believe, the 23rd, and
Tell the whole world.
leaves the 27th. Is that right? For the dates?
20 to the 26th.
He
Comes back on June 2nd.
he arrives on May 20th and stays till the 26th, and then he comes back on June 2nd and stays to the 3rd.
So if you want to meet a Paramahamsa, be here.
Real swan-like man.
Yeah.
On Saturday night, he's going to be at the house of Rasaraj Prabhu, who is the servant, this disciple of Srila Bhakti Sundar Sannyasi Maharaj. Even though he's, like he was saying, there's love between the Vaishnavas or among the Vaishnavas. His disciple is another, his guru is another disciple of Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur from another line. But and he has his own institution, but still Maharaj is going there for love between acharyas,
Yeah.
Vaishnavas.
This is the real Vishwa Vaishnav Raj Sabha.
Gaura Premanande.
Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari
Gaura
Bo.
Krishna Prabhu ki jai.
Srimati Shamarai
Bhakti
Didi ki jai. Bhakti
Alok
Lok
Paramahamsa
Paramahamsa
Goswami
Mahami Maharaj
ki
ki jai.
Did it say whether this is his Abhirbhav or Tirabhav?
You got it.
Good.
That's definitely his Tirabhav then, because we are
Mahaprasade Govinde
Govinde Nama
Brahmane
Brahmane
Vaishnave
Vaishnave
Swapo Punyamata Rajam Vishwasharanai Vajayate Surira Vijajal Jodendriya Tahikal Jive Pale Visaya Sagare Tarma Jay Jivayati Loba Moya Sadormati